All right, let's learn about our final type of rock, the metamorphic rock. So a metamorphic rock is just any rock that is changed by extreme heat and pressure to become a different type of rock. So metamorphic rocks at one point were either igneous, sedimentary, or other types of metamorphic rock. So let's actually look at this whole name and break it down, and maybe it might help you guys remember it a little more. Meta means to change, and morph means form or shape. So we are changing the form or shape of these rocks. We say sometimes that these rocks metamorphose. So with this metamorphic rock, how exactly is it forming? How are we turning one type of rock into another? Well, there's two keys here: high pressure and high temperatures. So as these pressures and these temperatures affect buried rock, they turn into a different type of material. So extreme heats and extreme pressures can sometimes take many different types of rocks and push them together into new types. And with these, they're going to have entirely new properties. So whatever rock it was beforehand, it's going to be a different rock with new properties and new chemicals inside it than before. And like I said, any type of rock can become a metamorphic rock, even other metamorphic rocks. So you can actually see in these pictures here some examples. In this area, you're going to have metamorphic rocks forming because of the heat and the pressure. This area, you may have metamorphic rocks forming because of the intense pressure. So it's all because of those two factors. So what are their textures? We talked about with igneous rocks that things could be fine-grained or coarse-grained. Well, with metamorphic rocks, we say that they are foliated or non-foliated. This kind of is talking about sheets or I guess you could say layers. So the foliated rocks have layers or banding in them. Like shale and slate, if you've ever seen that before, it looks like you took really thin papers of rock and just laid them on top of each other and then glued them down. These rocks on the right in this picture, you can see that they actually have layers in them. You can see the bands of different color. These are ones that form because of high pressure. So as these rocks get pressed down by all that pressure on them, they're forming these layers. Then you can have non-foliated metamorphic rocks. These are ones that are made of minerals that form because they have blocky or crystal shapes. And they're in areas where there's high temperatures and low pressures. So usually when there's high temperatures, you'll have some type of like melting or something like that going on. So you're not going to have those discrete layers. It's actually going to melt and blend, and you're going to have a new type of rock that's very similar all the way throughout with no layers. Things like marble is an example, or quartzite is an example. You don't see any layers of those inside those ones. And finally, there's three types of ways that this metamorphism happens. There's regional metamorphism, where you have an entire large area that's being affected by these high temperatures and pressures at one time. So you have a large area under the ground that's experiencing metamorphosis. Then you can have contact metamorphism. So any area that's touching high temperature rocks, often igneous rocks, they're going to come into contact with these high temperatures of other rocks, touch the cooler rocks, and become metamorphic rocks. And finally, hydrothermal metamorphism. This is where these rocks are coming into contact with very hot water, and they react with the rocks and change up their composition or their makeup and become metamorphic rocks. So that's all that I have for you guys today. Make sure you do your notes, and I will see you in class.